Hi, I'm Tom, and I'm here to tell you more about my plans to create a space game. This game, codenamed Star Factory, is going to be a mixture of many games that I've played in my past. Games like EVE Online Factorio, Startopia, well, basically any of those kind of simulation where one creates a colony, where one creates success in a factory and automates the process of doing this in an interesting kind of way. I personally don't like micromanagement in my games. So I don't like. I love the creativity of Minecraft, but I don't like the repetitiveness of the typical survival gameplay. I really like Space Engineers. I like that you can build vehicles and you can ride on those vehicles. But the difficulty with Space Engineers is that to create a functional vehicle, it's so hard that you can't actually do combat in a meaningful way. And once again, without there's kind of no point building your own factory unless you're playing in survival. If you're playing in survival, it's hard to play. So let's talk about what Star Factory is and how we're going with dev. The basic idea is that you mine stuff in asteroids. You take it back to your ships. It gets processed through processing, kind of like Factorio, and you turn it into various things that you want to make. From there, you build better and bigger stuff. You power your ships. I mean, there's all the awesome stuff. I'm thinking all the typical tropes of space travel. You've got warp engines. You've got faster than light generally. I mean, you've got ships that act in an arcade fashion. So we're not talking about physically realistic travel here. We're talking about the kind of fun arcade which allows you to keep control of ships and things are fast, rather than proper space combat. You'd pass each other at speed of light and try and shoot relativistic bullets that just go straight through everybody else. It doesn't translate well to a computer game. What realistic space fighting would look like. So obviously just scrap that and just have fun, shields and so on. Development at the moment is very much in its starting stages. Um, all sorts of plans that I'm writing out, ideas, specifications, all carefully written, but it's just in the very early stages. So it's kind of like this is just a video partially to introduce the idea, partially to show you how early things start. It involves a fairly experienced programmer who is starting for the first time in a whole new engine, in a whole new way of working. I've decided to even work in a different language than usual. So let's quickly run you through some of that stuff. So I decided to write this in broken into two major parts. So from a software point of view, we've got the Godot engine, which enables us to very rapidly iterate on the basic game premise itself. So we don't have to spend too long doing the basics of graphics imports, animation, sound mixing, all the types of things that are in the engine, things that I don't have to worry about because I want to focus on the gameplay first and foremost. And it's actually really excellent that we can utilize free assets. A bit of a shout out to Kenny. I'm going to show you in a minute the current prototype. It's heavily using this tile set. It's also using another tile set I got in the Humble Bundle RPG, and I'm planning to use some of the sound effects from that later. But it's for this stuff, it's all about getting ink on the page. I've been mostly focused on how do we get something on the screen. I don't really care at this point that the quality is, well, shocking, to be honest. Let's have a quick look at what we've got. Here's Godot and Star Factory, and what you see is a very simple scene. Let's start this up. So in the background you can see what we've created from tiled. We've got map scrolling using the keyboard, which I'm using right now. We can zoom in and out. There's aliasing issues with the tiles. Later on you'll be able to customize this ship in parts. It'll feel like a ship as opposed to just a simple map. I've got here some conveyors and boxes. Now you have to trust me that these are conveyors and boxes. As we can clearly see, they look more like parts of a dust road because they're from a dust road tile set. This is just about getting ink on the page. So up here we have a box, and in this conveyor you can see that there are materials that are flowing to this top box in the top corner here through the conveyor system. So they start off in this box down here, which is slowly draining, as you can see. And it moves through this conveyor into this box, which hardly holds anything, and then into that. So this is very similar concept, if you can imagine the graphics in your head. It's a very similar concept to what Factorio does with conveyors, as if the inserters were built in. Similar to the early gameplay where you have mines that feed through into conveyors. So in my mind, I can imagine this ship containing various devices, for instance, weaponry on the side, or a scoop that is here at the front that collects material, and then internally you then place conveyors, and you place boxes to store the material, and you have a docking system that allows the ship to then transfer material to other ships on the side here. And in the front is a cockpit where the player goes to interact with screens that enable you to actually fly the ship. So, when you're interacting with those consoles at the front of the ship, that gives you control and the ability to fly. Yeah, as you can see, you can't fly yet. In fact, that's the very next thing we're going to do. We being me, it's the royal we, is enable you to actually fly this thing. Yay. Blow up asteroids. So I think that's it from me for the very first video. It's actually my first time ever vlogging anything, so hopefully it didn't come across too badly. You can welcome to subscribe. I mean, that's where that button is at the bottom. Everyone tells you to do it. I'll be posting a video on a semi-regular basis, and hopefully we'll see some progress. But I thought we'd actually start with this almost hilariously poor example of progress. There's a whole bunch of hidden progress you can't see. For instance, simulating the conveyors, simulating the boxes, testing that Rust integration with Godot. There's a lot of learning going on my part, and hopefully what will feel like pretty fast progress. And I imagine in maybe a year, maybe two, we'll have something actually playable that I can share with you. But in the meantime, please tune in and watch as we turn from something hilarious into something actually playable. That should be fun to watch. Thank you. Bye.